What's good, peeps? Hope you're all doing well. Share, like, and subscribe, please. All right, let's crack on with this. ADRIEN BRONER vows to be full-time rapper unless $10 million is offered. Well, it looks like it's a rap career for you, my friend. Fucking hell. The nerve of this kid. The nerve. Has he ever got $10 million for a fight before? I doubt it. I think he might have got close with the Pac-Man fight. And then again, we don't know Al Heyman's paying these guys. I have no idea. Like, I was shocked when I saw Jamel Charlo's house. I was like, what? So who knows what these guys are getting paid. Didn't they laugh when Eddie Hearn sent him an offer of like $5 million for like 3 fights or something, like 5 million, 5 million, 5 million. I can't remember what it was. Didn't he just laugh that off like, nah? So we might look at it and think $10 million might have touched 10 million already. But I doubt he's touching it anytime soon again. And can you imagine what he could have touched? Like, imagine you had this ADRIEN BRONER, so this personality, right? Still this personality, but dedication. Full-time dedication. Imagine that. Imagine that. Wow, that could have been something, right? Especially if he stayed at, he jumped, didn't he, a bit? Jumped and came back. But especially if he stayed at 140. A full-time, dedicated, confident, brash ADRIEN BRONER. It wouldn't even be saying $10 million offered. It wouldn't even be saying it. He could have been saying 50 million because I think he could have been that in demand. I definitely thought he was going to be the next pay-per-view star. I think a lot of people did, to be fair, and it just hasn't worked out. How old is ADRIEN BRONER? I don't know why age is such an important factor for me, but I just want to... makes me feel like, could he turn it around if he got serious? 30. No, it's too late. Too late. 27, I would have said he's got a chance. 30, it's too late. Right, what's this one? Fury focused on Wilder. If he KOs me, won't be no Joshua fight. It's true, right? They are rolling that dice. They are rolling that dice. And now, I'm guessing Fury, because Fury's been mentioning Joshua quite a lot now. And Joshua has been mentioning Fury quite a lot. They're kind of building it up slowly behind the scenes. Now, I'm guessing they both know the numbers. They know that number they're getting, or the number that they will get close to. They know it. And now it's there's only one man or two men that stand in the way, Pulev and Wilder. Pulev, I don't think's a problem. Deontay Wilder, big problem. Big problem, people. So let's hope that Fury can overcome that again. Boy, rolling the dice, rolling the dice. What's this? Ken Shamrock, Tito Ortiz are the latest to target Mike Tyson. Next, and they're not going to get the Mike Tyson. Everyone wants that. I thought this was supposed to be an exhibition. All of a sudden, everyone wants a chance, right? I don't know what Ken Shamrock and Tito, what do they want? An MMA fight? What do they want? What is this? Silly. I did see another Evander Holyfield clip, which clearly looks sped up, right? They're doing really well in this, but I did say yesterday that that Mike Tyson's on the orange juice, and that Evander Holyfield looks like he's on the egg whites. I think Evander Holyfield's on the orange juice as well now. Looks good. They're speeding up the clips though. They are making it look a bit better than it is, but he's got back in shape, serious shape. He wants Mike Tyson. I think that fight's going to happen, no doubt. All right, what's this one? Chocolatito wants Estrada rematch. Woo! Sign me up. Sign me up. That would, great fight, right? Great fight. The way in which Chocolatito ran through Cal Yafai, and people might say, oh, it's only Cal Yafai. Unbeaten Cal Yafai. And the Chocolatito, who everyone thought was kind of done. Let's be honest, people thought, you know what, it's unfortunate we didn't get to see him at his absolute peak. TV weren't broadcasting him, blah, blah, blah. He's kind of done. If that's done after what he done to Cal Yafai, then boy, there's more in there. What I'm trying to say is there's more in the tank, and that's going to be a great fight against Estrada. Let's hope that that one can get across the line. I'm pretty sure it can, right? I'm pretty sure it can. What's this? Ryan Garcia launches YouTube channel, wants to shock the world. Is that the name of the YouTube channel, or is that what he wants to do? Look, I think it's a great idea. I honestly think that most boxers, again, look, it's difficult. I think most boxers should have YouTube channels, if I'm honest with you. I think grow your brand. I understand why they think that they don't want to do these things and why they think they shouldn't do these things, because at the end of the day, their job is to get in the ring, and that's it, right? Get in the ring, that's your job, right? It's unfair. Like, I wouldn't be telling other sports stars, like footballers, to have YouTube channels, right? But they ain't footballers, right? This is that they're not footballers. They need to grow their brand. And I think a YouTube channel does that. And I don't mean a YouTube channel which shows you in the gym hitting the pads. No, we don't want to see that, right? We see that all the time. We want to see who you are behind the scenes. And I think this will be a good idea. I think Ryan Garcia, with his little clips on Instagram and social media, already kind of lets you in. So this is just going to be an extension of that. And I think it's a good idea. Ryan Garcia will be a superstar, providing he doesn't get chinned, right? I mean, they're going to keep him. As much as he talks on Twitter about, oh, I want to fight Devin Haney and I want to fight Gervonta Davis, they're going to keep him away from that for so long, because if he gets smoked, then that's it. They're going to build him up slowly. This is Oscar we're talking about. They're going to build him up slowly, boy, until they're 1 trillion% sure he's ready. And even then, there's no guarantees. Rigondeaux vows to be pound for pound at 118, then back to 122. I don't know. A lot of going up in weight, coming down in weight. What weight did he fight Lomachenko? 130? Was it 130? I don't know. This guy should, like, we should be talking about Rigondeaux as one of the best ever. Like, that's when he was on that ascendancy, I just thought this guy was unstoppable. I thought anyone he fights is dead. And I don't know what happened. I'm not quite sure. I want to say it's the Lomachenko fight, but it isn't that. It's almost before that. TV seemed to kind of get bored of him. I think Bob Arum openly criticised him. And then it just kind of just fell off a bit. Or maybe he stayed amateur too long. I don't know. But they were ducking Rigondeaux. Like, people were openly ducking Rigondeaux. Like, in interviews, just go and type in, like, I'm not sure about Rigondeaux, and laughing about it. Like they kind of do about Lomachenko now, some of them. It's a shame. Rigondeaux must be like 39 now. Must be something like that. Sorry, I keep saying Rigondeaux. It's Rigondeaux, isn't it? Apologies. Rigondeaux. 39, yeah. 39. 40 in September. 40, and you're still trying to cut weight and do... Boy, he's just missed his opportunity, right? But in saying that, I mean, look, solid career. Like, what was he, 2 freeweight world champion? Outstanding amateur career as well. I just expected his story to be bigger and better. And unfortunately, it wasn't. Amir Khan, I don't want to call it a day while we're going through this. I did say this about Amir Khan a few days ago, right? That he might call it quits during this time. Look, there's only one fight. We know there's only one fight he wants, and that one fight is Manny Pacquiao. Unfortunately, there's a queue of people that want that one fight, right? Queue. And the only way he jumps that queue is if Saudi Arabia show interest in that fight, like they kind of did with him versus, it was supposed to be the Indian champion, but it ended up being Billy Dib. Unless they show that kind of interest and offer a bucket load of money, Manny Pacquiao will stand in America and he's probably fighting Mikey Garcia. That's what he's probably going to do. So that's the only way it happens. I don't know. It's something, I feel like he weirdly deserves this fight. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just feel like he's wanted Manny Pacquiao or May. Was that close to the Mayweather fight? Should have got it over Maidana. In saying that, Maidana put in a fantastic performance, both fights. Should have got that. I feel like he deserves one of these big ones to go out on. I mean, does he deserve it from what have you done lately standpoint? No, of course he doesn't, right? But just from longevity, been in the game for so long. I mean, he was 2004 Athens. Turned pro pretty much straight after that, right? Had a long career, been in some great fights and tough losses. I will always remember where I was when Amir Khan got beat by Bradis Prescott. Always remember. I was in a nightclub called faces in Gants Hill, and literally it started reverberating around the room. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, Amir Khan's been knocked out. Yeah, right, sure. And I don't think, yeah, there definitely wasn't smartphones back then, or was there? I don't think there was. Well, I didn't have one anyway. And it started reverberating around the room, and yeah. And I remember thinking, oh my God. So he's built himself back up by then. He's lost a couple of more, built himself back up, lost them, built. Solid career, solid career. So you know what? Just give him the Manny Pacquiao fight. Give it to him. All right. Chisora, I'll travel to Russia. Help Povetkin take down White. What is Derek Chisora doing? What is he playing at? There's something going on behind the scenes there, isn't there? Because he's honestly trying to, it's almost like he's trying to poke the bear in Dillian White in the hopes of getting a third fight. Because this has come from nowhere. Remember, these guys are now supposed to be cool, or supposed to be okay with each other. Remember, I think they even had an Instagram live chat with each other a month ago. I remember that, a month ago. And now all of a sudden, Chisora's come out in the last week saying, I want a third fight. I'm the better fighter. If it wasn't for the ref, the ref in the second fight, I would have won that fight. Now he's saying, I want to travel to Russia to help Povetkin take down Dillian White. He's just trying to poke the bear in the hopes that he lands a third fight with Dillian White. And look, I've always said, as a boxer, the biggest thing, the most important thing is have options. If you do not have options, I don't care how good you are, you're not going to make that. And you're not going to get the people invested, and ultimately you're not going to fight, right? You've got to have options, and maybe Chisora is just trying to create options here. Dillian White hasn't said anything back. I haven't heard Dillian White say anything back. He's looking past that. But Chisora is definitely trying to poke the bear, and I guess it's just a matter of time before Dillian White responds. And once he responds, they go back and forth, and then who knows, right? The fight could happen. What's this? Dillian White, I bashed Tyson Fury in sparring, dropped him on multiple occasions. I believe that, if I'm honest with you. I don't tend to think Dillian White would lie about that, but so what, right? I mean, you bashed him in Tyson Fury is the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, WBC champion, ring recognized #1. He is the man right now. So it doesn't matter that you bashed him in sparring and dropped him on multiple. It doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, there's so much of this sparring stuff going on now. People, that middleweight that released that sparring the other day, beating up, looked like a novice. Sparring stories. I wonder who is the sparring world champion. There must be a guy, right, that is like, you know, you get them guys that have just become sparring partners. Like Malik Scott, all of a sudden, from nowhere, just seemed to retire from boxing and become everyone's sparring partner. So yeah, it means nothing. Dillian White, obviously, again, the way I spoke about Chisora trying to poke the bear, he's trying to poke the bear as well. I think Tyson Fury responded, didn't he, on, I think it might have been Twitter or Instagram, because Dillian White called him out, as Dillian White should be calling him out. And Tyson Fury responded by saying, it's all well and good trying to make fights during COVID-19 when fights aren't possible, but I have a fight with Deontay Wilder coming back, and then I have a fight with Anthony Joshua. And undisputed comes before mandatory. So, and then I think he made a smiley emoji face or something. So basically trying to say to Dillian White, you're not getting your opportunity. So that WBC shot that he was supposed to get before February 2021, he ain't getting it. You know, I'm going to find a video. I got a lot of stick for this. I did a video about Dillian White about a year ago, and I said Dillian White is not going to get a world title shot until 2022. And I got thumbs down. How dare you chatting crap? You don't. Look now. What you saying now, people? What are you saying now? All right, moving on. Eddie Hearn, boxer's purse is completely out of control. Part my fault and DAZN's fault. Truer words have never been spoken, my friend. Truer words have never been spoken. I'm all for boxers getting paid. I always say this all the time. Know your worth. Go out and get your worth. Not just in boxing, anything in life, to be fair, in general. But let's be very honest, people. It's just gone crazy. It's just gone crazy. And DAZN could be at fault for a lot of it. I think that the Canelo contract is worth, does that make any sense? But I think Canelo is worth that contract. I really do. I think 365 million over 11 fights. I mean, they might even be underpaying him when it's all said and done. I think Canelo is the biggest draw in boxing. I think he's the biggest name in boxing. And I think someone that's at the top of their sport should be paid so. So I think could be fair. I mean, some of the others, I'm not sure. Golovkin's contract with them, I think's a bit silly, if I'm honest with you. Offering a then 37, 38-year-old a 6-fight deal and paying him that much. Hence why Golovkin's saying he would rather fight his mandatory, which is an easier fight than Canelo, because he's going to get the same amount of money, it seems. So that says that. I don't know what they paid Mikey Garcia for that one fight with Vargas. We know they've offered the Charlos and BRONER big money to come over. And what that does is have an effect on the other networks. And what I mean by that is, if you are Charlo and Eddie Hearn, I don't know, let's just, an example here, has offered you 7 million for a fight, right? You then go back to PBC, Al Heyman, Showtime, whoever, and say, I've just been offered 7 million. You guys have kind of got to match that or I go. They match that because they want to keep him, knowing that he's not even really worth that, but they match it just because they know if they don't, he can go, right? Fighters now are in the controlling position where they can easily sign 1-fight deals. It's a risky thing, right? Because you sign, you lose, then it's a problem. But you sign, you win, and then it literally is a case of you're up for grabs to whoever's going to pay the most money. And if, for example, PBC want to keep you, but then you have a word of DAZN, and DAZN are like, well, we'll give you 10 million. You go back to PBC and say, well, I've been offered 10 million. They're desperate to keep you. They're going to match it. It's a bit crazy. I mean, look at the Deontay Wilder situation as a good example. Obviously, he went to have that conversation with John Skipper and DAZN. We know about that conversation now. They offered him X amount for the contract. What was it? A 3-fight deal. 2 of those fights being Anthony Joshua. He turned it down. He's obviously then gone back to his people and said, look, well, this is what I've been offered. Pay me something similar to fight Dominic Breazeale. They did. That fight didn't do very well. So they've overpaid, right? They even overpaid for the Wilder Fury trilogy, right? I mean, you listen to what that fight done in pay-per-view buys, compare it to how much they paid Wilder and Fury. They've overpaid, but they've got to because these guys will go elsewhere. World Boxing Super Series, another example of, especially the one with Usyk as the winner and Callum Smith as the winner. They overpaid massively for that, massively. And the problem with that, I guess, is now Callum Smith, I think, got paid, I think it was like £5 million or something. Now, he's obviously going to want that kind of money going forward. But I think it's fair to say Callum Smith I feel bad saying he's not worth that money, but he doesn't generate that, does he? Let's be honest. He's not a pay-per-view fighter, and that's kind of pay-per-view money. That's top echelon pay-per-view money. He's not worth that. He's not even a pay-per-view fighter. So it's causing a lot of problems now because fighters, and look, again, the fighters, it's good for them, they're getting paid, but for fight fans, we are stuck in a rut where these fights aren't happening because fighter X wants 7 million, fighter Y wants 7 million, and it's just not a $14 million fight, right? It doesn't generate that kind of money. Again, this is probably the problem with Crawford and Spence right now. Crawford wants to get paid for that fight. So does Spence, right? They want to get paid. But I mean, Bob Arum's not silly. He knows he chucks that on pay-per-view, and it's just not going to generate the kind of money that both of these guys are asking for. So we're getting to a situation where we don't see those fights. Or in the UK, we see some fights on pay-per-view and we moan that they're on pay-per-view, as we should. But the only way they can make these fights happen is if they chuck them on pay-per-view, because both fighters are asking for too much money. They're asking for too much money, and the broadcasters don't want to pay that money up front. So they've got to chuck it on pay-per-view and hope that it does good pay-per-view numbers to then pay both fighters. It's a horrible position we're in right now. Because again, you got average fighters, bang, average fighters, they're asking for ridiculous money. And I don't know what it is. It's not like, normally you'd think of it as a supply and demand thing, right? So if there is a limited amount of good fighters, like a very small amount of good fighters, then you can understand how those fighters will generate so much money because there's not that many good fighters going around. There are quite a few good fighters out there. So you kind of, it should work the opposite, but it's not. I think the problem is, because we've got, what, about 5 different networks, right? All of those networks need marquee fighters on their networks. So they're paying more above the odds to keep them, just because they know they can hop onto another network and get paid. So it's almost like, okay, if you don't pay me, I'm going to DAZN, or if you don't pay me, I'm going to ESPN, or you don't pay me, I'm going to go and do something on Showtime. It literally is like that right now, and that's the problem. All right, where was I with this? ARUM, no assurance we can do big fight with live audience this year. Well, that basically translates to we won't see Teofimo Lopez Loma this year because the gate's going to be too big to miss out on. We won't see Wilder Fury this year because that gate's way too big to miss out on. We might not even see Terence Crawford this year because Terence Crawford generates a decent gate when he fights in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. I do wonder who's going to be the first big fighter to come back in the States. We know over here it's going to be Dillian Whyte. I wonder who is it going to be over there to fight behind closed doors. I wonder, because you almost feel like we need to see a big fighter over there announce themselves behind closed doors to get the ball rolling. There has been no mention of a big fight behind closed doors yet. I think the hope is that in America anyway, by September, October, a state, don't know what state, but a state will allow sort of a lot of people to mass gather, and then they can have a big boxing event with fans there. All right, last bit I think here. Sean Porter, Crawford, a more intelligent fighter than Spence, more dimensions to his game. Yeah, fact. That's, if you don't believe that, then you've got to maybe watch more boxing. Again, Sean Porter is not saying that he thinks Terence Crawford is a better fighter and will beat Errol Spence. He's saying he has more dimensions to his games, more variety, right? He does. Terence Crawford can win a fight so many different ways. You watch Terence Crawford, in the first half of a fight, he's doing something completely different to how he's doing it in the second half. Just because he switch hits, he switches stance, he'll throw single jabs and then he'll throw triple jabs, he'll go to the body, he'll do so much different bits. Whereas Errol Spence pretty much does the same thing over and over and again and just grinds you down. That's not taken away from Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a great fighter, right? Unbeaten. He's a great fighter. Top 10 for me, pound for pound. But Terence Crawford's a top 3 pound for pound for me. And maybe it's because Terence Crawford has to do the thing. He's coming up from a lighter weight class, so maybe he can't just grind you down because he's not naturally the bigger guy. Maybe he's got to try and do all those things in order to win fights. I don't know, but that is fact, by the way, that Terence Crawford has so many different variations to his game, so much more intelligent, just has better boxing IQ. And that's why I think he will be Errol Spence. Is that it? Is there anything else I've missed out on? Let's have a look. What's this one? Eddie Hearn, criticism of Golovkin for not wanting to fight Canelo next is unfair. Is that unfair? Why is that unfair? I don't think that's unfair at all, if I'm honest with you. I see what Golovkin's doing. I spoke about it earlier. He knows he can get paid the same amount if he fights. He's mandatory, which should be an easier fight than fighting Canelo. And that's a tough fight. We know it's a tough fight. We know Golovkin is not the Golovkin, right? So he might look at, or some people think that Canelo could retire him. I don't think so, but I mean, after watching the Dejan Vanchenko fight, you could see why people think that. I think Canelo's a different type of fighter than Dejan Vanchenko, who just kind of walks you down and really stalks you, very much like Golovkin, if I'm honest with you. Canelo's a bit different to that. But yeah, I think Golovkin should almost, I don't know, I feel like DAZN have put themselves in this predicament, right? They've signed him on a 6-fight deal and saying that we're going to pay you the same amount to fight all those 6 fighters. So I don't blame Golovkin. I would do what Golovkin's doing. I can just see how fans might not be too happy about it, especially if we want to see Golovkin-Canelo next. Personally, I'd rather see Canelo Billy Joe Saunders, but I'm not going to switch off if they put Golovkin versus Canelo on TV. Stay safe, peeps.